That is a lot of pages. Well, exposition, everybody. You can just listen to me if you want to go. If I'm within earshot, you can turn up the volume, go take a leak. Cause here goes nothing.
Summer of our Lord, 1477. I can no longer die. Of this I am certain. The strongest blows hardly register. I almost feel pleasure to serve this pain, or sense this pain, reminiscence of my past glory. This morning, one of Ivan's brothers in arms, who was absent from the banquet, came to the castle. He had heard from scoundrels the narration of events that had taken place the evening of the banquet. He challenged me outside, but I begged him to enter, as the sunlight was blinding and the warmth burned my hands. He declared that he wanted to do justice in the name of honor and in the name of God. He, too, called me a demon. I stared at him, miserable vermin in his polished armor, and I felt his heart beating wildly, the tightening of his hand on his sword. He forced me to take a weapon, and I told him that it was my habit to discipline swine with my bare hands. His first blow seemed to be incredibly slow and gentle. This man must have weighed 200 pounds, and my hand barely moved back. When I stopped his sword, he hit me again and again with an indescribable euphoria grew in me. Euphoria, milady. Fedora tip. Oh, God. And I was surprised to whoop with the laughter under his attack. And the hunger came, as it had already come. I threw myself on him like wolves on cattle, and I crushed him between my hands. His heart was still beating as I became inebriated from his blood. It was better, yes, much better. Drunk on blood. That would make life a little easier. December of the year 1477. But what have I become? An eternal terror seizes me as I write these words. All is dark around me, all is cold. I am done, indefinitely done. Alone. I'm sorry, not done. Indefinitely alone. Forever alone. Yep. Dracula, total neckbeard. I cry for hours on end. Alcohol, which I've engorged by the barrel, no longer has any effect on me. My spirit, gnawed away by memories that I cannot chase away. This image of her that I wanted to banish haunts me each instant. It's a curse. She will make of me what I have dreamed of being in my moments of anger. Only the creatures of the night hear my cries and can testify to my terror. I will soon slump into madness and will be the instrument of the demon inside me. The demon who denies my gaze when I search for it in the mirror. The demon who kisses me at the morning's glow and pushes me to nuzzle under the earth in the darkness. I am no longer human. I can sense it. Hunger comes when I think of the truly alive, and I cannot resist the intoxication that comes from appeasing this hunger, even as I contemplate its horror. I must write, put down into this live journal my history so that the madness cannot make who I am, who I was, disappear. It was I who conquered this land. Of all the warriors, I was the most ferocious and the most feared. Well, more tired than I thought I was. I won impossible and decisive victories, leading to the deaths of hundreds of my comrades. At the mention of my name, my enemies trembled. At the sight of my neckbeard, they fled. This pagan land was conquered in the name of God, but in a way that had nothing to do with saintly beliefs. Entire villages burnt, roads bordered with cadavers hanging from the gallows. Hundreds of erect stakes dripping with blood like wine from a press. Children, women, elders, so many lambs sacrificed in these wars of atheism. Everywhere, the fetid odor of decaying carrion mixed with a nauseating stench of burnt human flesh. Bloated, bent, and broken bodies. It's a lot of bees. Eaten by worms. And so much blood. Victory in these lands comes to he who shows the most determination in the face of horrors and atrocities. He who is first to instill a supernatural terror in their enemy, regardless of the price. And it was me. Thus came peace, but certain men aren't made for peace. I had them come and stay in my castle, the knights who had fought at my side, as well as their families. In this devastated land, it was the only dignified residence for these brave warriors and their noble dames. Well, he's been around for centuries. He's got plenty of time to learn English. This is probably in the 1700s at the latest. So, It was then that I first saw her, Irina. Irina Sengir? There's the Magic the Gathering connection again. Or maybe Magic the Gathering pulled from the Dracula legend, but there was a card in Fallen Empires, I believe. Irina Sengir. She was the bride of the Sengir vampire, basically. Or like his chosen or something. Or she made... I don't remember. Maybe the Sengir vampires were her servants. Either way, she was a legendary. Anyway. The daughter of one of my comrades who had died on the battlefield. She was everything. I saw nothing but her. She suffused the castle with an enchanting light and warmth. Each of her steps was a dance. Her voice, the whisper of her soul. Her beauty transformed the world, transformed people. She was, at the same time, the ultimate happiness and the most destructive suffering when I had to stand next to her, without being able to kiss her and embrace her and touch that booty. Thus my court was started, propelled by a total and sincere love. But voices came to her, voices that recounted the war and its battles, that recounted the villages burned with pleasure, the abominable tortures performed under my command, that recounted the hundreds of innocents decapitated in a move of anger. It happens. Sometimes you just gotta decapitate some people. And if a woman can't love you for that, what good is she? Well, that recounted foremost my cruel laughter in this bloodbath. Despite my efforts to make her share my passion, I was greeted with a coldness marked with disgust. Mostly, I wanted to show her my vampire junk. Also, the light of love in the depths of my eyes. Mostly, she saw the blackness of death. Little column A, little column B. And then he came, beautiful and blazing. Ew. With his handsome shield. Oh, he's got a rival. With his handsome shield, the legendary artifact, my young cousin Ivan, rejoining us after the battle and turning the heads of the ladies with each step. Generous and likable, he shone in peacetime, as I had once made him do during wartime. They were inseparable. So it's also a bit of a Cain and Abel thing going on. It was like, he held her arm, and she called him my lordship. He praised God, and she drank his words. But hadn't I also served God? Hadn't I risked death 1,000,000 times for his glory? And it is as it is to this puppet that God gave the right to charm my beloved, my only one, in his name. Whatever. It's a really awkward sentence. Anyway. Yeah, I'm thinking, like, why is he not hit me up to destroy me? Anyway, thus I disavowed God and his holy hypocrisy. In these formerly pagan lands, subsisted rights. How long is this? This is a emo live journal post. To which I secretly initiated myself. I disavowed God from the depths of my soul and swore to combat his defenders with 10 times more vigor than ever his enemies. The thirst for vengeance grew in me. I felt myself becoming a beast. The castle's inhabitants looked at me with a growing fear. My foul temper having much to do with it. I began to whip clumsy servants, or those who tarried in carrying out my orders. Mom! Give me some blood! Sorry. I began, blah, blah, blah. My brothers in arms turned from me. Next came the marriage announcement that threw me into the abyss. Ivan and Irina announced their engagement. Oh, snap. Held the previous eve in secrecy. And the imminent wedding. Everybody present applauded the news, and I felt the mocking and condescending looks drift over me. The inevitable lot of the spurned lover. At that point, right in front of my eyes, the red well of anger and blood fell as I descended into the friend zone. I managed, nonetheless, to contain my despair and fury and invited the whole court and milady to a great banquet to be given the next day in honor of the would-be wedded couple. I retired then, and during all the preparation, I was convulsed with pain and hatred, alone in my chamber to cultivate my fury. When the evening came, in the absence of Irina, who had left to put on a dress I had previously offered, I proposed a toast at the banquet table, having taken care to order the servants to leave the hall and allow only the guests of noble lineage remain. As the knights and dames, all without exception, raised their goblets to their lips, I began a speech of the hypocrisy of their supposed god and of their similar villainy. How did they dare pray while the wine that they drank came from the land soiled by the blood of the innocents massacred in the name of God? That's a really nasty run-on sentence. How dare they laugh at me as the lord of this castle, I who nourished them and who had won them the life of affluence in troubled times? None answered. The drug that I had obtained from a local hag and poured into their Mountain Dew had paralyzed them, although they could still see and hear perfectly. Only my cup and that of Ivan had been spared. He sprung up and demanded my repentance. I laughed in the face of this buffoon as he clamored with the kind of hate that I had experienced after he stole my loved one, my lady. My emotions, contained for so long and so deeply, exploded. I bounded across the room and threw my fedora onto a hook across from me while I attacked the shit out of him like a savage beast. My hands clasped his, but his ardor and the force of his conviction began to make me lose my grip. It was thus that I sealed my demonic pact with blood. With all the strength of my denial of God and his children, I threw my jaws into the assault of my adversary's neck. I plunged my canines deeply into his flesh and binged on the vital liquid as the predator feeds from his bag of Doritos. An unnatural intoxication overtook me as the grasp of my arms released. I couldn't bring myself to tear away from this crimson fountain of Mountain Dew Code Red from which I imbibed. When the source dried up, I separated myself from this pale carcass and stood up, my face stained with scarlet trails, and turned euphoric. This is too good. Toward my other guests, rigid and feverish. I was then overcome with visions of stakes, gallows, and decapitations, arming myself with the sword. Leaning against my chair, I jumped on the table and began a dance of death, in which each of my twirls was greeted by a fountain of blood coming from the necks which my sword liberated from their thus forth superfluous heads. Undoubtedly attracted by my shrieks of laughter, Irina entered the hall and witnessed the scene. I attempted to explain to my lady my infinite love for her was the source of everything, and that the spectacular, unimaginable horror was the proof. She was determined to keep me in the friend zone and fled up the stairs above the dungeon, and I pursued her while proclaiming my love. When I caught up with her on the crenulated roof, vocab word, in the feeble glow of the moon, she screamed into the wind of all the hatred she felt for me that I couldn't respond to but with words of love. As I stepped forward to finally claim my prize, she threw herself into the void, into the mist that masked the cliffs encircling the castle. I sunk to the ground, divided between an incredible force that I felt growing inside me and the sadness of an unfathomable black pit into which I fell, body and soul, and which, with jealousy and hatred, I had found a red pill at the bottom of. April 16th, 1887, so 400-odd years later. It is incredible. After centuries of sadness and resignation, hope has been reborn in me. I feel the palpitations of love take possession of my spirit. Oh, I guess we're in the 1887. The phantom memory of my adored darling that I searched in vain through evil pleasures and impossible flirtations, I can now see in my mind and contemplate with delight. All of these readings, expenses, assassinations, and tactics have not been in vain. So, he just wants the booty. There's a way to bring Irina back to me. My zealous servant scoured Europe in search of the slightest indication of the smallest rumor of the most recent scientific works. I consolidated all of this knowledge by accumulating treatises and works. God, how long is this? I'm glad you guys are still sticking with me. Oh, man. All this work yields today. And this work yields today. Blah, 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 blah. All these centuries, I thought myself to be the first to be abandoned of evil. I thought that the world had never known a soul as black as mine. That's racist. But ancient works have now taught me that in remote Egypt, centuries before Christ and his cortege refuse, a cult venerated damned gods. Given to the priests by the very mouths of the god's messenger was the secret to unspeakable rights and power over the void. Supposedly, a terrible incantation would have the power to bring back to earth all of the damned souls in giving herself to death and being deprived of a burial spot. Irina damned herself and roams the void. Spooky ghosts. Okay. So, what we've gathered here is that Dracula's a neckbeard who wants some ghost booty. Okay. Her place is by my side. I must liberate her, bring her back to me, even if I release 1,000,000 damn souls onto the earth. The cult's black secrets, racist, will be hidden in the tomb of the great priest who awaits in non-death. I must find the location of this tomb. May 17th, 1887. Oh god, his handwriting changes? That's really annoying. According to my subordinates, the colonial wars have served to unearth numerous secrets in far-off Egypt. This region is still under British control, and treasures are brought to London in order to be studied by scholars. That explains why he's in London. Alright. It is perhaps there that has found the information that I seek, but I do not know this world. I must move my pawns in order to prepare my arrival. In the interim, I must classify all of my precious works, as there may be some clues in the books that I read 500 years ago. We got a reader. July 21st, 1898. Black luck doesn't stop smiling on me as I struggle to inform myself. Black luck, also racist. Inform myself on the customs of faraway England. The librarian who arrived to classify my works turned out to be English. I asked him 1,000 questions, to which he answered in a precise and elaborate manner. I undertook all of the necessary preparations to welcome him in the greatest comfort to the castle, and I imagine that his stay here will be long. The man seems strangely ill at ease. His pulse beats abnormally quickly, and I feel his eyes fixed on me at each instant. Perhaps people from the West are weaker and more easily influenced than those of our rough clime. At the end of our discussion, a miracle, he spoke of his betrothed who remains in England, and I asked if he had a photograph of her. He showed me the one which he keeps with him. At the first sight of this diaphanous face, vocab word, I understood that the presence of this man was a gift from the damned gods. The incredible beauty of this young girl rekindled in me the memory of my past love, and I must at all costs find her. It isn't a caprice like my other flirtations. No, I know that henceforth this Mina is matchless, the only one worthy to receive the passion, the energy, the soul of Irina. I must possess her, have her in my power, guard her purity all while breaking her spirit. So yeah, he's totally a men's rights. He's a men's rights activist too. He's gonna learn the game. He's gonna nag her, pick her up at the club, and turn her into an atheist with his incredible logic and quote making, because it's euphoric. And I'm not dissing all atheists, just the neckbeard atheists. You know the type. Reddit/r/atheism. Have fun. Anyway, she'll be a receptacle and forever the object of an insane love. Well, at least he acknowledges it's nutty. As for this Harker, I will compensate him by giving him immortality and making him one of my children. Now, nothing further can stop my great undertaking. In 1 week, I depart for London. It is my last evening in the capital of the world. What wonders I have seen since my arrival in London. This new world is so different from my own, but I cannot delay. This second phase of my great undertaking will begin. I succeeding in finding the location of the Demonomicon of Waluigi. What? It's basically Waluigi. It's a Waluigi or whatever. So the Necronomicon of Waluigi, the cursed text that contains the secret light permitting me to bring my beloved... Okay, we're almost there. My beloved back to me. The tomb is located not far from Cairo, and everything is in place to receive me and permit me to act promptly. My subordinate has worked well. It's rare for a human At nightfall, I will find Mina in order to pay my homage. I am anxious to taste her warmth, smell the perfume of her hair, the caress of her breath. I burn with impatience like a lover before his first tryst. Oh, he's a virgin. I am also anxious to bring this beautiful young girl back with me and to speak the forbidden words. Nothing will stop me from bringing Irina back, and if at the same time I liberate the swarm of damned demented souls, will it not be a wonderful spectacle to see the torrents of blood that will flow around the world when these avenging spirits annihilate the human race with the longest goddamn run-on sentence I have run into in a long time. Yeah, seriously, like, where's the butler? Where are the bugs? Granted, if he wasn't reading it aloud, he might have done that in half the time. I kind of want to highlight this just to see how damn long it took.